Alrighty. La 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la la ya la 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 ya la la ya la la ya la da ya da 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 ya da da ya da 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 ya da da ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da da ya da da ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 da.
One moment, a technical issue here. I got dressed in the wrong order and put my mask on and then the microphone, and so sorry for the delay. First of all, Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat
Welcome.
Shalom.
Glad to have you all with us, and those of you joining us on our YouTube channel, we are grateful to have you with us as well. Unfortunately, Dina Jastrock, our president, is unable to be with us, and Dina, we include you in our thoughts and prayers for continued healing and return to a refuah shlema, a complete and hopefully very speedy recovery. We have a number of things taking place during this coming week. We have, of course, on Sunday, our religious school, and we have a session of our Discovering Judaism, those who are interested in learning more about Judaism, and our adult B'nai Mitzvah program on Sunday. We've got board meeting on Monday, chit-chat group on Monday. We've got a Brotherhood dinner and meeting on Wednesday, in addition to our Hebrew Lab Mahjong on Thursday. And that takes us to next Friday and Shabbat. So there we go. There's the whole week. For those of you who are wondering about all these activities, you can find more information on our website, tbolm.org. That stands for Temple Beth Or La Morada, tbolm.org. You can find our whole calendar there, and we hope that you will join us for those events that you are interested in joining us. In addition, we have Shabbat greetings from Ted and Noel Singer and Jeff and Wilma Shear. We are grateful to you all for your continued support of our Shabbat greeting program, an opportunity for us to raise a little bit of kesef during our pandemic Shabbat. So thank you very much to Ted and Noel, Jeff and Wilma. And I wish to acknowledge that Jeff is a past president of our congregation and a member of our temple board. And in addition, we have flowers sponsored this evening by our very own Eileen McNella, just as a thank you to Temple Beth Or for all that we do and all that we have been to her and her family. For those of you who don't know, Eileen McNella is the daughter of Sandra Pascas, who unfortunately entered eternity during this past year. And Eileen, we are grateful to you for your support. Thank you very much for these beautiful flowers. There they are. They're in front of me, but I was looking in the wrong spot. There they are. Thank you very much, Eileen, for sponsoring our flowers this evening. We are grateful to you. And of course, for all that Sandra brought to our congregation. The Pascas Memorial Fund enabled us to partake of a beautiful cellist this year during our Yom Kippur services. Oh my goodness, what a passionate player he was. So I am grateful we have found him and look forward to having him with us next year as well. As we gather on the Shabbat, let us take a moment to pause I know many of us, rushed to drive here, perhaps having come directly from work, perhaps having come directly from dinner. We have come from a variety of different places. Let's take this moment as an opportunity for us just to do something we do all the time, but this time we will do it with kavanah, with intention. I invite us to take, in a moment, a deep breath. We will hold it for a few seconds, and we will slowly let it out. In through our nose, out through our mouths. Together. In many ways, Shabbat is the breath of creation. It gives us that opportunity to tap into the deeper part of our lives. It gives us a chance to set aside all of the daily toil that we are engaged in, so that we might instead see ourselves as human beings instead of human doings. Oh God, help us now to make this new Shabbat. After noise, we seek quiet. After crowds of indifferent strangers, we long to touch those whom we love. After concentration on work and responsibility and tasks and chores, we seek freedom to meditate, to listen to our inward selves. We open our eyes to the hidden beauties and the infinite possibilities in the world that you are creating. We break open the gates of reservoirs of goodness and kindness in ourselves and in others. We reach toward one holy, perfect moment of Shabbat. And we do so as we welcome this Shabbat with the singing of Lecha Dodi. We acknowledge all of the messengers that have traveled with us this past week, those of flesh and blood, those of memory, and those of spirit. Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi לקראת הגלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת הגלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה ולך דודי לקראת הגלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת הגלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בורא קומי אורי, אורי אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני ללייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת הכלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת הכלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי קהלה, בואי קהלה, לך דודי לקראת הכלה, פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת הכלה פני שבת נקבלה.
We may be seated. I invite Eileen McNella to join the Cantor and I here on the Bima as we continue welcoming Shabbat with the lighting of our Shabbat candles, and Leslie Berger as well. Thank you very much. And I invite us to read together. As we kindle these Sabbath lights, let us be moved. We can read together on the screen. Together. As we kindle these Sabbath lights, let us be moved by their light to bring light to those who dwell in darkness. Let us be moved by the warmth and glow of these lights, so that we might be a source of compassion to those facing struggles. May these lights inspire us to acts of justice and peace.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chad l'kner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, source of all being, who calls us to holy acts through mitzvot and inspires us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נשר שבת, שבת, שבת. Thank you. Thank you, Eileen. Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you very much, Eileen and Leslie. Thank you for helping light our Shabbat candles. A child wandered in the woods so often that her father became quite worried. The father asked, Why do you go into the woods so often? And the child replied, to find God. The father reacted out of his logical thought processes and said, but God is the same everywhere, in the forest and right here at home. The little girl countered with a wise and theologically sophisticated idea. But Father, she said, I am not the same everywhere. We gather in this, our sacred space, in order to share prayers, in order to celebrate, to share our burdens, to magnify our joys. We are not the same everywhere we go. The grocery store, traffic on the streets. We are different people in those places. Yet here, in these hallowed halls, we are able to tap into the best that is within us. We are able to connect with our tradition, with ourselves, and with our God. Let us rise as we are able for our Baruch Hu, our call to worship.
Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam vaed. La 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 la
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
Haolam.
Asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim. B'chokhmah poteach she'arim. Uvitvona meshanei itim u'machalif et hazmanim. Umsader et hakochavim. B'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla. Golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom u'mevin layla. Umavdil ben yom uvein layla, Adonai tzvaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimlo chalenu, leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. As the sun sinks and the colors of the day turn, we offer a blessing for the twilight. For twilight is neither day nor night, but in between. And in truth, we are all twilight people. We can never be fully labeled or defined. We are many identities and loves, many genders and none. We are in between roles at the intersection of histories, or between place and place. We are crisscross paths of memory and destination, streaks of light all swirled together. We are both, neither, and all. May this sacred, in-between time of this evening suspend our certainties, soften our judgments, and widen our vision. May this in-between light illuminate our way to the God who transcends all categories and all definitions. May the in-between people who have come to pray this evening be lifted up into this twilight. We cannot always define, but we can always say a blessing. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. In this century, and indeed in any century, our deepest hope, our most tender prayer, is that we learn to listen. May we listen to one another in openness and in mercy. May we listen to plants and animals in wonder and in respect. May we listen to our own hearts in love and forgiveness. And may we listen to God in quietness and in awe. And in this listening, which is both boundless in its beauty, may we find the wisdom to cooperate with a healing spirit, a divine spirit who beckons us into peace and community and creativity. We do not ask, and indeed we cannot ask, for a perfect world. But we do ask, and we can ask, and we can demand of ourselves and those around us a better world. We ask for deep, deep listening.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Leolam Va'ed.
We may
And
see
thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And all these words which I command you on this day shall be in thy heart, shall be in thy heart. And thou shalt teach of them diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt speak of them when thou sittest in thy house, when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be for frontlets between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them on the doorposts of thy house, and upon thy gates, and upon thy gates, that ye may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God.
Hurt people hurt people. That's how pain patterns get passed on. Generation after generation after generation. Break the chain. Meet anger with sympathy. Meet contempt with compassion. Meet cruelty with kindness. Greet grimaces with smiles. Forgive and forget about finding fault. Love. Love. Love is the weapon of the future. I, Miriam, stand at the sea and turn to face the desert stretching endless and still. My eyes are dazzled, the sky brilliant blue, sunburnt sands unyielding white. My hands turn to dove wings. My arms, excuse me, my arms reach for the sky, and I want to sing the song rising inside me. My mouth open, I stop. Where are the words? Where is the melody? In a moment of panic, my eyes go blind. Can I take a step without knowing a destination? Will I falter? Will I fall? Will the ground sink away from under me? The song still unformed. How can I sing? To take the first step, to sing a new song, is to close one's eyes and dive into unknown waters. For a moment, knowing nothing and risking all. But then to discover the waters are friendly. The ground is firm. And the song, well, the song rises again. Out of my mouth come words lifting the wind, and I hear for the first the song that has been in my heart, silent, unknown, even to me.
מי כמוך בהדים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. לה 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 la 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 מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים זה אלינו ואמרו זה אלינו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
The holiness of this day, the holiness of Shabbat, is not for this day alone. We must make it overflow into all of our minutes and all of our days, to hallow our weekdays from these sacred moments, and hour by hour make the world a sanctuary where every human soul may be at home. May the awe we feel at times at the miracle of one another united in prayer, both here in our sanctuary and in our virtual streaming on YouTube, be with us tomorrow. Keep tenderness in our words, our touch, and our look. Praise be Adonai for the Sabbath and for its holiness. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
To worship is to stand in awe under a heaven of stars, before a flower, a leaf in the sunlight, or even a grain of sand. To worship is to work with dedication and skill. It is to pause from work and listen to a strain of music. Worship is loneliness seeking communion. It is a thirsty land crying out for rain. Worship is kindred fire in our hearts. It moves through deeds of kindness and acts of love. Worship is the mystery within us, reaching out to the mystery beyond. It is an inarticulate silence, yearning to speak. It is the window of the moment open to the sky of the eternal. We continue with the words of our tefillah as I invite us to rise as we are able. Adonai sifatai tiftach ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'koneh HaKol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה, רב להושיע,
משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מחלקי חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל. אתה הקדוש, שמך הקדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We may be seated. There are times when each of us feels lost or alone, adrift and forsaken, unable to reach those next to us or to be reached by them. And there are days and nights when existence seems to lack all purpose and our lives seem brief sparks in an indifferent cosmos. Fear and loneliness enter into the soul. None of us are immune to doubt and fear. None of us escapes times when all seems dark and senseless. But then, at the ebb tide of the Spirit, the soul cries out and reaches out for companionship. O Holy One, give me a quiet heart and help me to hear the still, small voice that speaks within me. That voice calls me to come close to you and to grow in your likeness. That voice teaches me to do my work faithfully, even when no one's eye is upon me. That voice counsels me to judge others kindly and to love them freely. For that voice persuades me to see the divinity and the sacredness in every one I meet. Help me, O God. Help me to come to the end of each day feeling that I used its gifts wisely and that I faced its trials bravely.
מודים אנחנו לך. You are our God, rock of our life. מודים אנחנו לך. You are our God, shield of salvation, forever and ever. מודים אנחנו לך forever. Morning, noon, and night, modim אנחנו לך. modim אנחנו לך. We sing your praises, we sing your praises. Modim anachnu lach, compassionate one, merciful God, forever and ever. Modim anachnu lach, forever, morning, noon, and night. Modim anachnu lach. Our lives are in your hands. Our souls are in your keeping. Your miracles surround us day by day. Our lives are in your hands. Our souls are in your keeping. Your ever-ending love has always, never-ending love has been our hope. We will never stop praising your name. We will never stop praising your name. Praising your name. Your
Near the wall of a house, painted to look like stone, I saw visions of God. A sleepless night that gives others a headache gave me flowers opening beautifully inside my brain. And he who was lost like a dog will be found like a human, brought back home again. Love. Love is not the last room. There are others after it. The whole length of the corridor that has no end.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tasim leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tasim leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amecha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
We extend our prayers of shalom, of peace, to all those people we know and even people we do not know. Those whose sense of shalom, of peace, and whole being has been disturbed, even shattered, by the challenges that they are facing. In a moment, our Cantor will lead us in the Misha Berach blessing, the Misha Berach prayers for wholeness and for healing for those who are facing challenges. I share this thought and this prayer to lead us into that time. May the Eternal One who blesses all life bless and strengthen all of us who struggle against illness. May we whose lives are touched by illness be blessed with faith, courage, love, and caring. May we experience the support and the sustenance of family, friends, companions, and community. May we be granted restful nights, days of comfort. We pray for refuah shlema, precious moments of healing, and a sense of wholeness in body and in soul. May those who care for the sick with their hands, their voices, and their hearts be blessed with courage and stamina. May those who pursue healing through medical skill and knowledge be blessed with insight, patience, and compassion. May all of us, the sick and the well together, find courage and hope. And let us all say, Amen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Rofei HaCholim. We praise you, O God, who helps us bring hope and healing to those who are in need.
Yisheberach Avotenu ve'imotenu Avraham ve'Sarah Moshe Aaron u'Miriam Hu yivarech v'yirapeh et hacholim Chanalea bat chaya sora. Heal them and bless them with strength and spirit, with laughter and life, with courage and grace. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, restore them like streams in the desert. Heal them with body and spirit. Strengthen them with patience and guard them with compassion. Renew their vision and bless them with peace. Birfuat ha-nefesh urfat ha-guf v'nomar Amen.
Let us take this opportunity to reflect on the words that we have shared, to reflect on the melodies we have sung and the melodies we've heard, so that we might be better in tune with the words of our hearts and the melodies of our souls. We take this moment for a period of quiet meditation or such other prayer as the heart may prompt.
May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O God, my rock and my redeemer, my rock and my redeemer, may they be acceptable in your sight, O God. La 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 la. La 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 my rock and my redeemer, my rock and my redeemer, may they be acceptable in your sight, O God. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O God.
As always, Cantor, beautiful music, beautiful music. Thank you so much for sharing your ruach and your neshama and your music with us. Thank you for making our Shabbat services
Thank you.
so musical. Dr. Ray, as well, it wouldn't be the same without you tickling the keys of the clavinova. Thank you very much for your skill and your wisdom as well. Pleasure to share the bima with both of you. When I was younger, growing up, I considered myself very fortunate. I had the opportunity to get to know not only my great-grandmother and my paternal great-grandmother and my maternal great-grandfather, but grandparents and great-uncles on both sides of the family. My paternal grandfather, Benjamin, Bibi, as we called him, was blessed to be one of 7 sons and 1 daughter born to my great-grandparents, David and Shifra. I admire Shifra tremendously as I learn about the family. They grew up on the Lower East Side of New York with the brothers all sleeping together in one room and my Aunt Toby sleeping with her parents. The boys all shared a room, and when we would get together for bar and bat mitzvahs in our growing up years, my great uncles would always share some stories. I learned that my great-grandfather moved the family out of the Lower East Side when some of my great-uncles got involved with some of the Jewish gangs that existed there in the Lower East Side. I learned that my great-uncles used to always check the pockets of all their brothers' pants to see who had any cash and would often abscond with their hard earnings. I learned many things about my great uncles and great aunt and great aunts who were now married to my great uncles. My great aunt Toby, for instance, was a devout communist and good friends with the Rosenbergs. What a shanda that whole execution was truly all about. I wish I had known about that in my younger years. I would have loved to have learned more of those stories of my Aunt Toby. During my first congregation in, of all places, El Paso, Texas, right, Sergio? Go Rio Grande. We were part of the California District of Rabbis. And so I had the opportunity to be part of the rabbinic staff at Camp Swig, for those of you who may remember that in Saratoga, now Camp Newman, in a more safer area, at least from earthquakes, but not from fires, as we have learned. And on our visits during the summer with our young children, I would always stop to visit my great-uncle Jack and great-aunt Blanche, who lived at that time in Palm Desert. We would always spend some time with them during our journeys. It's a long drive from El Paso, Texas, here to southern and then northern California. So we would always spend a few extra days with Jack and Blanche. And my great uncle would always sing to our young children a song of Jewish teaching that was one of his favorites. Although in his heavily Ashkenazic pronunciation, the opening line is basically one word. Imein ani li mili, he would sing, uksha'ani la'atzmi ma'ani, ve'imlo akshav ematai. And he looked at me and said, well, you know this song, you're a rabbi. And I'm going like, well, maybe you can say the opening words. Im ein ani li mili. Oh, yes, of course, I know that. The heavy Ashkenazic pronunciation has always been a difficulty for me. I think I have a Sephardic soul. In one of my earlier congregations, one of the elderly women came up to me and said to me in the days leading up to Rosh Hashanah, so when is Kever Oivus? And I said, when is Kever Oivus? She said, yes, when are you holding Kever Oivus? I'm going, Kever Oivus. One moment, switch into Sephardic translation mode of Ashkenazic. Kever Oivus, Kever Avot. Kever Avot, the memorial service often done at the cemeteries in the days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Yes, of course, it will be on this date. So I have a hard time with some of the Ashkenazic words. I obviously must have a Sephardic soul. This was my great-uncle's favorite. As far as he was concerned, this was the ultimate teaching of Judaism from Rabbi Hillel. Im ein ani li mili. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? Wonderful. Fortunately, Rabbi Hillel's teaching did not end there. Rabbi Hillel from over 2,000 years ago knew that there was so much more to the human being than that statement. Imein ani li mili If I am not for myself, who will be for me? But Rabbi Hillel goes on, Uksha'ani la'atzmi ma'ani. And if I am only for myself, what am I? Here's the balance. Here's the balance. Imenani limili. I've got to watch out for myself. I've got to watch out for my safety. When Deborah and I were hiking through Zion National Park, placards at the head of the trailheads and recorded messages on the tram that would take you back into Zion repeatedly stated, your safety is your responsibility. What a beautiful statement, you know. Don't go hiking on this path if you don't think you can make it, because your safety is your responsibility. This is the wilderness. This is not a paved street. This is not a paved sidewalk. And if you have physical limitations, think before you head off on this trail, because we may not be able to get to you. Your safety is your responsibility. Love that statement. Absolutely. Im einani li mili. If I'm not for myself, who will be for me? If I'm not watching out for my health and my safety and my financial well-being, who's going to do it? No one. But that is paired with uksha'ani la'atzmi ma'ani. If I'm only for myself, what am I? That is perhaps the most powerful teaching of Hillel's statement. If I am only for myself, what am I? Well, we can name that, okay? You are selfish. You are narcissistic, okay? We are all traveling on this little blue ball in space, all of us together. As a human family, we are interconnected in ways that we do not fully understand, but by God, this pandemic should have pointed it out to all of us. What begins in one little tiny country, well, not a tiny country, but in one little tiny corner of the globe, has spread to the entire human family. And this is the way of every pandemic. Whether it started in China or in India or wherever it is, it ends up blowing across the entire globe. Whether it was 1918 or 1850, we human beings have always been connected one to the other, if nothing else, through pandemics. I try to be a patient and understanding human being. I know there are times when I am not patient. I know that. And I cannot, for the life of me, I cannot comprehend this reticence, this visceral reaction to wearing a piece of cloth over my face, or of getting a vaccination. I don't get it. No matter how hard I try to understand the other side, I can see absolutely no logic in their arguments. I can see absolutely no benefit to their argument that this is an infringement on their rights. Yes, im einani li mili. Yes, if you are a narcissistic, selfish, egotistical person, I can get that. But we live in a society and we live in a community where there are other people that we are called upon to watch out for. I just don't get it. And those who say government should not tell me what to do, I challenge them by saying, what do you do when you sit in your car and go for a drive? Do you put on that seatbelt? Do you put that cell phone away? I'm sure there are those idiots out there who don't wear their seatbelts. And they are truly that, idiots. Seatbelts save lives. All the safety features in our cars save lives. And all of those safety features, from the airbags to the seatbelt, are regulated by what? The federal government. And so those who argue that the federal government should not tell me what to do, should not drive a modern vehicle, and should not eat any food that the FDA certifies as being healthy and appropriate. They should not fly an airplane because the federal the Federal Aviation Association, the FAA, certifies those pilots and those mechanics and makes sure those things work. They should not take any drugs, Tylenol, ibuprofen, none of it, which has been inspected by the FDA. You know, all we have to do is read that wonderful book, The Jungle, and understand what life was like before the government stepped in, when we were eating sawdust and rat feces in our meats and in our hot dogs and in our salami. I do not comprehend it. I don't understand. You know, in our nation, tragedies used to bring us together. We used to rally together, accept each other's differences, and say, for the greater good, we are going to set aside our differences so that we can function as a society. And that is gone. That is absolutely gone. I read news stories about people who get into fist fight on airlines because they don't want to wear a piece of cloth over their faces, because they think this is an infringement of their rights. If they lived on an island all by themselves, gay Gesundheit. But when you are part of a greater community, we are called upon to rise above our selfish interest to help each other out. Yes, if I'm not for myself, there's no one who's going to watch out for me. But if I'm only for myself, I am a despicable, horrid human being. And the best part of Hillel's teaching is the last bit. V'im lo akshav ematai. And if not now, when? It's about time that we wake up to the fact that we are one human family sharing a very tiny ball in space. And that what happens to one will happen to the other. And this pandemic has proved that, sadly, to the deaths of millions. Millions. And people still die today needlessly from this disease. There are times when I am thoroughly disgusted by humanity. This is one of those times. World War II brought to light the depths and depravity that we can achieve. Have we learned nothing since then? We have to watch out for each other. We have to take the necessary precautions to secure not only our safety, but the safety of the people next to us. May Hillel's words inspire us. May they be as contagious as this COVID-19 and infect every single person on this planet. If I'm not for myself, but if I am only about me, we are in a very, very sad place. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We continue with the words of our Aleinu as we move to the conclusion of our worship service. I invite us to rise as we are able for the adoration.
Maybe a little reminder.
And in keeping with last week's service, we are sharing a slightly different melody so that we might experience these words in a different kind of way. We're going to do this for the next couple of weeks, just so we might feel how this melody and these words move us.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
We continue responsively. And then all that has divided us will merge.
And then all will be wedded to power.
And then softness will come to a world that is harsh and unkind.
And then both men and women will be gentle.
And then both women and men will be strong.
And no person will be subject to another's will.
And then all will be rich and free and varied.
Weeds will give way to the needs of many.
And then all will share equally in the earth's abundance.
And all will care for the sick, weak, and the old.
And then all will nourish the young.
And all will cherish life's creatures.
And then all will live in harmony with each other and the earth.
And then everywhere will be called Eden once again. ונהמה והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד. ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד.
Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth, those who live on in our hearts and our memories and in the place we call Olam Haba, the world to come. We call to mind those for whom we are observing the Shloshim, the 30 days since their death. Dorothy Bernard, the mother of Flo Bornstein. Dee Dee Ginter, the wife of Ed Ginter, and Gloria Austin, the mother of Lynette Austin. And to those of you who have had family members die in the immediacy, our hearts go out to you all. To their names, we link the names of those whose yard-sites have occurred during this past week. Meyer S. Mink, Stella Zunzer, Mildred Reese, Felicia Rosenfeld, Hyman Siegel, Henry Stern, Lloyd I. Frankel, Phyllis Karen, Harry Lewis Culkin, Norma Fink, Arnold S. Benjamin, Gladys Marie Kennedy, Alan Abraham Maltz, Edna Culkin, Malvina Lutger, Florence Savant Light, David Myers, Joseph Goloskov, Bessie Lofchi, Mildred Richmond, Benjamin W. Scharf, Max Morantz, Lou Zucker, Doris Rubin, and Cindy Cunningham. To those names, we link the names of those for whom we are observing the Kaddish period: Rosalie McKenzie, Hal Bruce, Hamlin Jr., Joseph Rofe, Mildred Sane, Harold Weber, Karen Copeland, Rita Silverman, Sandra Pascas, Marlene Engel, Leslie Pascas Amador, Edith Azaro, Concha Chavez, John Young, Gerald Kotkin, Ross B. Shear, Jenna Gordon, Doug Austin, Edith Chest, Berta Ursus, Ann Phillips, Malcolm Dipperstein, Mark Bornstein, Leah Levine, Vicky Emery, and Evelyn Levlin. If there is a loved one whom you are remembering, I invite you to share that name at this time. To those that we have named aloud, and to those that we keep named in the quiet places of our hearts and memories, we link as well the names and memories of the men and women of our armed forces who have given their lives for our liberties and our freedoms, those who have given their lives for our safety here at home, members of our police, our firefighters, and other first responders, the members of the Israeli Defense Forces who have given their lives for the hope of peace. In addition, we include the over 700,000 Americans who have died from this COVID-19 pandemic, as well just this past week, the 761 Americans who have died by gun violence, 30 of them children. Zichronam Livracha. May their memories be a blessing, and may their memories inspire us to do the best that we can with the lives that we have been given, as we share together the words of our Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah. Bi'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal Shemei dekudesha berichu le'elam in kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. And it is with profound sadness that I announce the death of Mali Shartov, a longtime member of our congregation and dear friend of so many, who died earlier today. Funeral arrangements are still underway, and we will notify you once those plans have been set. Zichrona Livracha, may Mali's memory be a blessing for us all.
Ose shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru.
We may be seated. We are going to share our Kiddush here on the Bima. We will then conclude with a concluding song for us this evening, the Chilach, in keeping with this week's Torah portion. May we continue our journey to the land of our dreams, and may we find ourselves as a blessing to us and to others. But with Shabbat, and especially in light of Mali's death, we know we drink from the cup of joy and the cup of sorrow, and often we do that at the same time. Judaism is a realistic religion. It teaches us that life is not perfect, because if it was perfect, there would be no change, and we would not be here. There would be no births. In order to have perfection, there can be no change. And so life is not perfect. And as free, empowered human beings, we share in the full beauty and the horror of life, unsheltered and unprotected, but with community, with faith, and with hope. We can magnify our joys, and we can also find ways to share our burdens and to find strength and comfort during those difficult moments. we share together the words of our Kiddush, acknowledging the joys, the blessings that exist even amidst the tragedy that we must live.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lemaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikrahei kodesh zechel yitziat mitzrayim kivanu v'acharata ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchalatanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim. L'chaim, Ray.
Ray, l'chaim.
And l'chaim to you as you enter our social hall. Please be sure to pick up a glass of juice or wine as is your preference. And to conclude our Shabbat service, the words of Lechilach. I invite us to rise as we are able. If you are comfortable putting your arm around the person next to you, please feel free to do so. If you'd rather hold their hands or maintain distance, please indicate so to those next to you. We want to honor all of our sacred spaces here as we share together in a song that is both a blessing and a challenge. Let us move from where we are to the place that we will be. And on that journey, may we find ways to be a blessing to ourselves and to everyone around us. Lechi lach.
Lechi lach to a land that I will show you. Lech lecha to a place you do not know. Lechi lach, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing, and you shall be a blessing. Lechi lach, lechi lach, and I shall make your name great. Lech lecha, and all shall praise your name. Lechi lach, to the place that I will show you. L'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, lechi lach, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach.
And with the words of our Motzi, we are grateful to God who provides us with the raw ingredients of our lives with which we turn into blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
B'te'ah appetit, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. I just believe it. No,
you didn't. You knew it.
in my heart. In my heart.
Your soul was telling you.
I tell
Let's
you.
sing Lech Elach tonight. I don't know why, but let's do it. Your soul knew.
It's. I would